This is Tom Art, Superintendent, Bellevue Community School District in Bellevue, Iowa, coming to you with this week's Believe in the Blue update. We had a board meeting Monday night, so I'm going to give you some highlights of that meeting and kind of go through the agenda there a little bit. We had some open enrollment requests approved coming into the Bellevue District, about 8 students or so coming into the Bellevue District next year. We approved some resignations. Chris Kellogg, a second grade teacher, is resigning to become our instructional coach at the Bellevue Elementary. Alicia Reese for middle school softball, and then Dave Wright for high school assistant girls basketball. They will remain in their teaching positions, but just are giving those extracurricular positions up. Approved some recommendations to hire, and one of those was Chris Kellogg moving into that instructional coach position. Along with second grade, Mindy Stroud is going to be moved from kindergarten into second grade. We had some openings in that regard. And then some third grade movement. We have Josh Keeter, a former graduate of the Bellevue Community School District, coming back to Bellevue to teach third grade. And then Jessica Hinchin, who is currently teaching in Maquoketa right now, will be coming to Bellevue to teach, and she also lives in the Bellevue area that way. And then high school science, we did approve Matt Cook to be the high school science teacher, and he will be taking over for Brent Chambers. The third grade positions were for Chris Osbaker and Sally Grutz, who all three of them individuals retired. We'll miss their service, but I think we have great people coming in there as well. We had several visitors at the meeting, and predominantly some English 106 students talking about their college class and persuasive speeches. They created a letter. Each small group of 1 or 2 people created a letter, and they read to the board on the elementary building and how we need to do something with that building to make improvements, which we're working on. I'll get to that in a little bit. Those students were Eli Witt, Nyla Call, Henry Paulson, Bailey Deppie, Alyssa Pohl, Renee Hitchcock, Kylie Davis, Jennifer Paxson, Emma Kelchin, Robin Stillmuckers, Cameron Ray, Jacob Till, Taylor Bach, and Eliza Shekel. And then we also had Mr. Jim Ott there, and also Rhonda Anderson was at the meeting as well. So they talked about that in the Comet curriculum that way. Comet Connections was headed up by Jim Ott. He works with several staff members here in the building, especially Mr. Kozel, on connecting students to the school, and he talked about a variety of different things that he's done with small groups, with a speaker series on self-control, also self-esteem, and just feeling good about yourself and creating that caring school community as a whole. And we thank him for his work that he's done. You can see the outline that he talked about online very shortly on the superintendent's page on the website. April board meeting date, we set that early because we have a few things we have to review at that. That is going to be April 10th at 6:30 instead of April 9th. We should have a conflict with April 9th, so the meeting is April 10th at 6:30. One of those things we need to do at that meeting is to finalize our budget, so we need to have a public hearing on our budget. Our tax rate will actually be going down from 12.1923 down to 12.16136 that way. So we have a state average is actually 13.7269, or at least last year that's what it was. We were well below the state average, and some of the lowest taxes in our area as a whole that way as well. So we have the public hearing. Then we also had discussion on safety and security, obviously within our district that way. We do have a buzzing system at our elementary building. Our middle school, high school does not. We do have doors that are locked during the day and things like that. We have one main entrance. But we talked about, do we need a buzz-in system that way? We're going to have some more discussion about that. I came up with costs for the board. I'm getting a couple other quotes on that. Do we need, we do have a camera system set up. Do we need big monitors in the offices for that instead of just on computer screens? Went through some of that. We also talked about some bulletproof glass, potentially. We talked about the whole aspect of, and you may have read in the paper too, some comments that were made by area superintendents, including myself. And the thing I emphasized was the aspect we need to have a caring school community, but also community as a whole, taking care of our youth, taking care of our adults and their mental health issues, and really making that a focus, which connects with what Mr. Ott was talked about earlier in the meeting that day. So we will have some more discussion about that in the upcoming weeks in the April board meeting for sure. Also talk about firearms on school and how in the state of Iowa that is not allowed by teachers right now, and I do not see that changing. We've talked about some different options for that as well. So we will have more discussions about that. If you have strong feelings or any feelings at all, please contact me and let me know what those are. I'm interested in hearing those, along with contacting our board members. That way they would be interested as well. Capital improvement projects, we also went with some things there. In addition to potential safety costs we're going to have that way, safety upgrades, whatever you want to say, which are well worth it if it protects our students. But some other capital improvement projects for our students that were approved, where we're going to redo the high school hallway ceiling and lights to make it brighter. It's very outdated, as many of you probably know. We're going to add some carpeting to the 5th grade classrooms. It is past due. We need to build a ramp for the industrial tech building as far as equity for students and their access to that building. Each of those, the first one was $20,000, the 5th grade carpeting roughly $10,000, industrial tech building ramp roughly $2,500. We need to get some handicap accessible signs as well. We really need to make some improvements there, and that's $2,500. And we'll look at some Promethean boards at the elementary for $8,000. And we also approved in the Promethean boards are interactive boards, and we call them Mimeo boards, smart boards, whatever. We have Prometheans, same thing, different brand that way. And then from the general fund, we also have our MacBooks upgrade for a junior class for next year with Mac Airs. That will be roughly $55,000. And then Chromebooks for our 6th grade on the normal rotation there of about $9,000. We do have a couple other things for sure we need to be looking at. The high school parking lot, middle school, high school parking lot is in need of some repairs. We've kind of held off in the last couple years. We did some improvements about 3 years ago. Yeah, it's actually 4 years ago, my first year superintendent, and we haven't had to do anything. We've had good winters. It's starting to get beat up. We have more holes in it, just some repairs, and a couple paving companies will be coming and giving us estimates. My guess on that is probably going to be roughly $70,000 to do that for the other part of that. And then the middle school locker rooms we need to make improvements on, and I really do not know how much that will be. Anywhere from $25,000 to $75,000 each, probably somewhere in that area. But in the notes online, you'll see all the different things on the potential in the future to do on facilities. I just wanted to let you know about that. Speaking of facilities, we do have our floor has been installed in the West Gym that way. It's a parquet floor laid over top of the rubber floor that we had in there. Got a very good deal on that. It was less than $30,000. A new floor is typically $70,000 to $100,000. We did use some insurance money for that as well, but we have a very good quality floor that should last for the next 50 years or beyond, hopefully. So we're very happy with that, and things should go well. Talk about elementary facilities. As you know, we've been in the process of looking at a new elementary school. We're still working on some land to be assessed that way, but we do have a timeline of when things will really get rolling in that, and that will start on June 10th. I've included the timeline in the notes, but we have some of those things done for June 10th already, actually. But we'll just have some more community meetings in June, July, August, leading up into September likely when we have a vote, although that vote could be in December. I just have some different things on the reasons why, and some of the key reasons why are the whole aspect of the safety for our students and security, accessible areas for our students, and then some green space and really true outdoor learning areas. But the key point of it all here is high quality learning spaces, as I mentioned. That is what the situation is. I'll talk about some frequently asked questions and responses. I have those in there as well. You can look at those. I will have a special broadcast like this online, but we'll probably also do something on the local cable network as well some evening with call-ins and approaches like that to answer questions, along with a variety of community meetings that will be held later on. Next thing, we have a school calendar. I have a draft of that online as well. You'll see very shortly on there under the superintendent's page. As I said, we have 4 early dismissals besides parent-teacher conferences. We have a couple all-day PD things where we will be working with staff to help in their instruction and help their planning, and to ultimately meet the student needs that way. We're working to make sure that we are doing the best possible job, and also making our schedule the best for our parents as well, realistically. I know some districts are going every other Wednesday with an early dismissal. We are not doing that. We believe we can handle a lot of professional development in morning staff meetings and other times that way. So we believe we can handle it that way. It makes less of an inconvenience for parents, which I hear quite often that is one of the concerns. But we are still educating our staff to be the best possible educators they can be, and meeting each and every student learning need that way. We have a student teaching contract we approved with University of Northern Iowa, kind of formality. There'll be a few other ones coming up here in the next month or so, I'm sure. We also approved the auditing group of O'Connor Brooks and Company, PC, as auditors for the next 3 years. We are required to have auditors in the state of Iowa for schools, and roughly they're getting $10,000, $11,000, and $12,000 for each of the 3 respective years that way. To know that. Student learning opportunities and updates. Just want to recognize, Jacob Till was recognized as an all-state speech performer, so he will be performing at UNI on March 26th that way. Congratulations to Jacob. The last person we had to do that was Erica Drake, who graduated several years ago, so congratulations, Jacob on that. And obviously, by achieving that or earning that opportunity, he received a 1 at state. Also, some other ratings at states were at state speech was Sally Paulson had 2 ratings in both poetry and storytelling. Jack Severning had a 1 rating in poetry. Allison Wright with a 2 rating in poetry and an overall 1 rating in musical theater. Brianna Bush with a straight 1 rating in prose. Abe Steinbeck with an overall 1 rating in radio news. Lisa Dixon, a 2 rating in poetry. Jameson Spahn, 2 rating in literary program. Allison Eggers with a 2 rating in acting. And Anna Dunn with a 2 rating in literary program. So congratulations to them. Many of those students also won at the district competition a few weeks earlier. We do have a facilities tour. We're going down the Quad Cities. Several of us are. About 15 people from the school and community are going down to tour Hamilton Elementary in Moline, Illinois, in the Quad City area. Then we're also going to be touring Grantwood Elementary in Bettendorf, which is still under construction. Actually, that one is. And then we're going to have a tour of the Lancer Athletic Building, which is behind North Scott High School in Eldridge. So legislative updates. It looks like there will be a possibility of an extension of SAVE, which goes towards improvements in school facilities. So that's a very positive thing for school districts across the state of Iowa that way to provide for our students. There's an extra $5 added on to the student aid for each student, try to get that equity between the lowest schools and the highest schools. We are in the upper middle that way overall, so we're not the lowest, but $5 did impact our sales tax a little bit based on what we wanted to do. It actually went down 3 more cents than what we had planned on. I mentioned that before. And then it takes away property taxes per student, adds it to state aid. And then I shared some other information anywhere from the Praxis test to a variety of other things, and I'll talk about those later on if they become big news. Jeanette Hartung-Schrader, elementary principal, shared their graduation is on March 27th. Kindergarten Roundup is actually on March 15th. That's tomorrow evening at 6:30. And then April 9th is a PK open house. And then Jeff Raker, middle school, high school principal, talked about the next year's schedule and courses and some coordinating of schedules that way of staff. We'll have registration the first part of August again. Standards-based grading was on the agenda, and big action at professional learning on Monday when we did it out of school. And then overall an emphasis on student engagement in learning. So I am taking quite a bit of time here. I have one other quick thing I want to mention here. It's something that I think we tend to forget about as parents, as community members, as educators, as whoever we are, that 70% of the jobs in the United States right now take an 18-month to 24-month degree or certificate attainment that way. 70% or more, actually somebody say more than that, but I'll use the term 70% only take a 2-year degree. But I say only, that means compared to a 4-year degree, but also they take a 2-year degree, we need at least that high school education and then beyond to get some type of certification. And that's what we work with concurrent classes, working on some other things with area superintendents too, on regional academies eventually in the future. Now that's a few years away, but working on some of those things to prepare our students for their life after high school. So everyone have a great day. And if you have questions, feel free to come out, contact me at any time, and we'll go from there. Have a great one, everyone.